Hi, beautiful souls, and welcome back. Welcome back to Glenda's Dragon's Den. Today I had a guest, and they had technical difficulties, so I did not want to just let it go. I wanted to be here for you, and of course, Spirit has a way of just knocking me over the head with a 2x4. And so I'm going to bring whatever spirit has to give me to bring to you. I am Glenda Dawson, as I said before, of Glenda's Magical Creations Spiritual Center. And I am truly, truly grateful that you are here with me today. I, you know, whether you're listening, wherever you're listening, whether you're listening live, catching a replay, driving in your car, maybe sitting quietly with a cup of tea or coffee or anything like that, resting in your sacred space, that space where it's meditative, where the energy is different than the rest of the house, or simply allowing these words to meet you exactly where you are. I want you to know something before we go any further. You do not have to arrive here perfect. There is no perfection per se. You do not have to arrive here clear. You do not have to arrive here high vibrational, peaceful, organized, energized, or even spiritually together. You can arrive exactly as you are, whether you're tired, whether you're tender, whether you're confused, overwhelmed, and hopeful, whether you feel heavy, whether you're curious, whether you're numb, just numb, maybe emotional, or simply just needing a place where you do not have to explain everything that you are carrying. You're here. Today's episode is for the soul that feels tired, not just physically, not just physically tired, although that may be part of it, but sometimes it goes deeper than that. It's not emotional tire, although that may also be there. I'm talking about a really deep kind of tiredness. The kind that feels like your spirit has been holding way too much for way too long. The kind where tired that comes after years of being strong for everyone else, just holding it together, being the head. You cannot break down because everybody else will break down. Years of helping others, years of sensing what no one else says out loud, years of picking up energy in rooms where anyone else notices, especially those people that are just clueless to that energy. Your empath senses, whether you realize you're an empath or not, you know when you walk into a room who's tired, who is angry. You feel the density in the room or the lightness in the room. Years of carrying responsibility, expectations, spiritual work, emotional healing. Oh, dear Lord, family patterns, ancestral stories, and your own private battles without saying a word. I want to begin by saying this very gently. Sometimes, when your soul is tired, you do not need another thing to fix yourself. You don't need. You don't need permission to stop fighting yourself. You don't need permission to rest. You don't need permission to be a human. You need peace. You need permission to admit that you're carrying a lot and that you need to come back to yourself slowly. So today, just going to talk about soul tiredness. We're going to talk about why sensitive people, intuitive people, spiritual workers, caregivers, leaders, healers, empaths, and those walking through transformation can feel so deeply exhausted. Now, today, if anybody has any questions, you could post them on the chat. I may or not may not or may get to them. I don't know, but if you do, you have further to say or this has touched you in a way, please email me or go to my website and hit the contact button and it will come straight to me. It will not go to anywhere. No one else will see this. So be assured that whatever you say in emails or in the contact button on my website, glendasmagicalcreations.com, it will go directly to me and I will be the one responding. Now, we're also going to talk about the difference between being lazy and being depleted. Because a lot of people think that because you're taking a rest and you're actually doing TLC, you're lazy. Your dishes haven't been done. Your bed hasn't been done. You haven't picked up after yourself when you woke up this morning. We're going to be talking about why forcing yourself to heal can sometimes become another form of pressure. And of course, I will guide you through an energetic reset to help you soften your feel, reconnect your body, and call your energy back home later on towards the very end. And that's always what doesn't. This podcast is not a substitute. I have to say this, not a substitute for for mental health, or for any professional help. Please always honor your body, your nervous system, and the real world needs. And the spiritual support can be beautiful and powerful, but it works best when it walks beside grounded care, not instead of. So let us begin. Please settle down, take a deep breath in with me. No pressure, just soft, and then exhale. Again, take another deep breath in, especially if you could do it through your nose, that'd be great. And exhale through your mouth. And again, breathe in and exhale. And let yourself arrive. Let yourself arrive. There's a kind of tired that sleep does not always fix. And many of us are going through that right now. Many people know what it feels like to be physically tired. You worked all day, sometimes very long hours. You did too much. You stayed up too late. You pushed your body further and further, even though your body was screaming. You need rest, but you don't take it. You know, that kind of tired that is real and it matters. But there's another kind of tired that can sit even deeper. This tiredness comes from the soul, this beautiful soul that we have. It is the tiredness that comes when your inner world has been working overtime. It is the tiredness that comes from pretending that you're okay when you're not. It is the tiredness that comes from holding space for everyone else and rarely having space held for you. Heck, you fix everybody's problems and you forget about what you got to do. It is the tiredness that comes from always being the strong one, the wise one, the dependable one, the one that always listens, the one who always understands, the one that everyone calls to, and the one that senses the shift before anyone else does, the one that goes to the supermarket and waiting at the cash register, everybody around you talks to you like you have been their best friend for years. And they tell you their ailments and their problems, like because you listen. You're a safe place. You're a safe place to hear them. And they feel that. The one who feels the energy in a change, the energy change in a room before everyone else, very quietly, and you adjust. The one who knows when something is off, even when nobody has said a word yet. The one that notices if the room is heavy, especially if there's been an argument right before. And if you are a sensitive person, an intuitive person, spiritual person, a healer, dear Lord, a caregiver, a leader, someone who has lived through deep transformation, again, you may know exactly what I mean. Sometimes the world sees you functioning, so it assumes that you are fine. You answer messages, you answer your phone calls, you showed up, you smile, you do what needs to be done. You make sure others are always okay. You keep moving, but inside there may be a quiet whisper. I am tired. I need a break. I can't handle this anymore. I do not want to keep pretending. I do not want to keep carrying this alone. I need to come home to myself. And that whisper matters. That whisper is not weakness. That whisper is wisdom. Sometimes your soul speaks softly before it has to speak loudly. And when you ignore that soft voice long enough, the body, the emotions, and the energy field may begin speaking in a stronger ways. Maybe you feel scattered. Maybe you start to feel disconnected from everything and everybody. You go numb. Maybe you forget things more easily. Maybe your body feels heavier. Heck, maybe you feel less inspired by the things that once used to lift you up. Maybe you're more emotional than usual. You feel irritated by the smallest of things. Maybe you don't even want to go out of your house anymore. Maybe you keep saying to yourself, I just need to get through this week. But then another week comes, and another, and another, and another, until getting through becomes your way of living. Beloved soul, you were not created to only get through life. You were created to experience life, to breathe, to feel, to receive, to create, to laugh, for goodness sakes, to smile, to be held, to be nourished, and to be restored. You know, something else, you are to remember what your worth is. And your worth is not measured by how much you can endure. And it wants to pause here because, you know, this is very important. I want to take a moment. Many people who carry spiritual gifts have also carried difficult pasts. Not always, but often. You know, some people awaken through beauty. Some people awaken through devotion. Some people awaken through dreams, visions, or intuitive openings. And some awaken because life cracked them open like an egg. Just keep hitting hard enough because they had to find meaning in darkness. Because they had to learn how to hear guidance from the outer world when the other world just didn't make sense. Because they had to become deeply aware in order to survive. And when your sensitivity has been shaped by survival, you can become very good at sensing everything around you. but you may not always know how to turn that sensitivity off. You can feel other people's emotions. You can feel the tension in the collective. You may feel the energy spaces. You may feel grief behind someone's smile. You may hear what is not being said. You may know when something is not aligned, especially in you. And while these gifts can be sacred, they could also become exhausting when you do not have strong boundaries, you do not have grounding practices or rituals, and permission to rest. That's a big one. Most of us do not give ourselves permission to rest. Never mind permission to heal. This is why today's conversation matters. Because spiritual people need to rest too. Healers need healing too. I have my set of healers that I go to. Guides need guidance too. Coaches need coaches too. Teachers need quiet too. Strong people need softness too. And those who carry light still need time to recharge their flame. If you are not up to par, how can you help others? Really, how can you give 100%? Yeah, you could have 100% of whatever you got left, but depleted. Let us speak of to something many people silently struggle with. You know, you are not lazy. You are depleted. And when you're tired, specifically deeply tired, the mind may start judging you. And it may say something like, you're falling behind. "Oh, you should be doing more instead of lacking. Just stop sitting down. Move it." Or you should be further along by now. Why are you still on page 10 of that book that you're writing? Other people are handling life better than you do. Wow, you hear that often. That ego, woof, it puts you down every second that it can. You're wasting time. Big one. You're not disciplined enough. Wow. You're not spiritual enough. Or maybe you're not strong enough. You yourself start judging yourself. But I want to gently challenge that voice because sometimes what we call laziness is actually depletion. Again, let this resonate with you. Sometimes what we call laziness is actually depletion. Sometimes what we call procrastination is actually overwhelm. And sometimes what we call lack of motivation is actually your nervous system that has been running too hard for too long. Simple. You know, what we call failure is actually a soul searching for a different rhythm. There's a difference between avoiding life and needing restoration. There's a difference between giving up and just needing a moment, a pause. For goodness sakes, when we were growing up, when we were children, we needed a nap, maybe two a day. That's the body recharging. That's why we had so much energy and we were curious little children and we would run around and climb things and ask all these questions. There's a difference. There's a difference between being unmotivated and being energetically overloaded. Let that sink in, please. There's a difference between being lost and being in the middle of a sacred transition. Transformation is hard. Transformation is not easy. It isn't a take a pill and here you go, you feel better. You're this other new higher up. higher vibrational person. That's not how it works. You got to bring up a lot of crap, a lot of stuff that needs to be released. If you are listening to this and feeling emotional, breathe with me. Go ahead. Take a nice deep breath and release. Because maybe some part of you has been waiting to hear that. Maybe some part of you needed to hear you have permission to rest. You're not broken because you are tired. You're not failing because you need rest. You're not behind because your healing is taking time. And you are not less spiritual because you feel human. We are human. We got to go through that human experience. And one of the biggest misunderstandings in the spiritual community is the idea that if you're truly aligned, we should always feel peaceful, always aligned, always grateful, always flowing, always abundant, always clear. But that is not real life because we still have to have that human experience. Real spiritual growth includes the messy middle. It includes the days when you do not feel connected. It includes the days when your prayers are quiet. It includes the days when your body says no before your mind understands why. It includes the days when your soul is integrating changes that your personality has not caught up with yet. It includes grief. It includes uncertainty. It includes rest. It includes silence. It includes moments when nothing seems to be happening on the outside, but something profound is rearranging within. Think about nature, right? The seed does not bloom the moment it is planted. The tree does not bear fruit every single season. The moon does not stay full every single night. The oceans does not apologize for its tides. The butterfly does not rush the cocoon. So, why do we expect ourselves to be in constant expansion? And why do we shame ourselves for needing winter? Why do we call ourselves stuck when we are actually in an incubator? We're incubating. Why do we assume that stillness means nothing is happening? Sometimes stillness is the sacred chamber where your next version is forming, like a cocoon. Sometimes exhaustion is not a sign that you're off the path. Sometimes exhaustion is the sign that the old way of walking the path can no longer carry you. And that is a very important distinction. You may not need to abandon your purpose. Not saying that. You may need to change the way you are carrying it. You may need to tweak it. You may need to quit your spirit. You don't need to quit your spiritual work. You may need to just take a breather. You may need to stop pouring from an empty vessel. Yes. You may need to not think of yourself as going into a new identity. No. You may need to return to the truth beneath all the roles you have been playing. And that brings us into something deeper. Something deeper. One of the reasons the soul becomes tired is because we live disconnected from ourselves for too long. We say yes when our body says no. We don't we don't have or we don't follow our own boundaries. No, sometimes we have to say to the friend no to the friend who wants to go out to the dancing every single week. I'm tired. I had a long week. I'm skipping it this week. And then she gives you that guilt look, or he gives you that guilt. Oh, and I can't go without. Just not the same. I don't want to go by myself. I don't feel safe. Well, then you rest too, and we'll go next week. We keep showing up when we know we need rest. People, we absorb other people's emotions and call it compassion. No, you need to learn how to say, okay, that's your emotion. That's your way of looking at it. But I can't take that as my own. We ignore our intuition and then wonder why we feel unsettled. Our intuition keeps telling us, go make that left. And you keep making that right. And yet, every single time you make that right, you run into blockages, you run into interference, you run into trouble, into drama, and et cetera, et cetera. Oh, you would have gone left. None of that would have occurred. And that is why your intuition, your body is going like, what is going on? We make ourselves smaller to keep peace. That's a big one. No, everyone should be heard. You don't have to be unkind about saying your truth, but you do have to state your truth. We over explain to people who are committed to misunderstanding us. If you say no, you say no. I can't. Not today. Period. We stay available to situations that drain us. We keep staying in that relationship. We keep accepting this person. We keep communicating with someone that we know is going to drain us every single time. But we feel bad. They don't have anyone else to talk to. Everybody ignores them. Nobody wants to talk to them. That's why, because they keep getting drained and they're not willing to help themselves. You give them advice time after time after time, and there's no change. We keep trying to earn love, approval, recognition, and belonging instead of just being ourselves in our truth and knowing our worth. And little by little, we move away from ourselves. Not never or usually not all at once, really. I shouldn't say never, but usually not all at once. It happens in small moments. The moment you swallow truth you needed to say, the moment you override your body's request for rest, the moment you pretend that something did not hurt. Somebody's joking, but it could be a backhanded compliment. The moment you take some responsibility for someone else's emotional reaction, the moment you keep giving because you do not want to disappoint anyone, and you forget you're disappointing yourself. The moment you say it is fine when it is not, let it go. Let it go. Honest about what hurts, you need to be honest about what hurts. You need to be honest about what drains you. You need to be honest about what you have outgrown. And that includes people, situations, jobs, relationships in general. It could be family. It could be, that friendship that you've had for years, but yet they're never there for you. They only call you when they need something, but you call them because you need something. They're never there. They don't answer their phone. They don't answer your voicemail. They don't answer your texts until they need you. Or they send you a message. Oh, how you doing? How's everything? Oh, you look wonderful in pictures. So I was wondering, how do you get rid of this dark spirit? I'm using for me because that's usually what happens. Out of the blue, this has been after 2 years of not talking to you, not reacting to anything, not showing up any which way, not even a text, nothing. You need to be honest about that stuff. You need to be honest about where you need support. You need to be honest about the relationships, the habits, the environments, and the patterns that no longer feel aligned. because you need to be honest about the version that you're ready to emerge of you, that is ready to emerge of you. Even if others are more comfortable with the old version, that's not who you are. You do not always have to be loud. And sometimes it looks like you might have to cancel plans. And sometimes it looks like I need time. And sometimes it looks like you're not answering right away. That's okay. You need to do that every once in a while. You know, you do not need to have force to heal. Many people, let us talk, well, let us talk about healing. Because many people who are drawn to spiritual work also become very devoted to self improvement. They need to heal, they need to grow, they need to evolve, they need to clear patterns, they need to break cycles, yada, yada. They need to become more aware, da, da, da. But sometimes even healing cannot, well, let's just say healing in deep healing sometimes can become another pressure. We can start treating ourselves like projects. We can start asking, what is wrong with me? What do I need still to clear? What is shadow is this? What wound is this? What lesson am I missing? What is blocking me? Bah, bah, bah. Instead of letting it come up naturally, organically. You don't have to fix everything for yourself. Sometimes the most healing you can do for yourself is do not a deep, not a single thing. Sometimes the most healing I could do for myself is make soup, take a walk, sit in sunshine, sunlight, go to the beach, drink water, go to bed, laugh with someone else that's safe, put my hand on my heart. I do that a lot. Why? Because it reminds me that I need to also heal and let go. Sometimes healing is allowing yourself to receive, but receiving can seem unfamiliar to you, especially if you've always been giving, 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 giving. Receiving rest, receiving help, receiving kindness, receiving compliments, receiving money, love, support, time, gentleness. Oh my goodness. And for some people, receiving can feel very vulnerable. Why? Because you're not used to it. You're used to giving, 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 giving. And also because you may feel like you're not in control. Well, guess what? You're really not in control over anything in your life because the only thing you could control is your emotions or how you react to things. That's it. And until you're made aware of how you're reacting or made aware or make yourself aware of what you're letting people get away with, you're not going to then just allow yourself to receive. Awareness is very important. You do not always have to reach higher and higher. The body is really going to tell you, and the body is part of the spiritual path. You ground yourself, breathe, and be sacred in your own sacred space. You're always supported by this, the spiritual world if you allow them to. And the body, well, what people don't realize is the body is part of the spiritual path because the body is what really tells us when something is wrong and we don't realize it. We may love connecting with spirit, with the other side, the angels, the guides, the ancestors, the star councils, the ascended masters, the dragons, the light beings, the divine frequencies in general. We may love meditation, channeling energy, energy healing, prayer rituals. These are beautiful paths, but we cannot forget the body. Your body is not separate from your spiritual journey. Your body is the temple through which your soul is experiencing this life. Your body carries wisdom. Your body carries signals. Your body carries memory. Your body often knows the truth before the mind can even explain it. Simple. You may feel fatigue. You may feel shallow breathing. You may feel tension. You may feel heaviness. Your body may feel emotional waves, restlessness, may not get through deep sleep. Again, this is not medical advice, but spiritually speaking, we can honor the body as a messenger. Why is my body doing this to me? We may ask when, some things like, hmm, that's not the way to do it. Instead of asking that, why don't you ask, body, what are you trying to tell me? What have I been ignoring? Where do I need more support? The nervous system does not usually soften because we command it to. It softens when we feel it begins to feel safe. When we feel safe, it feels safe. And safety is building a small moments, little moments, little by little it gets connected. So slower breath, a warm blanket, a hand over the heart, walk outside, a nourishing meal, comfort food, kind word to ourselves, a boundary honored, okay? You may feel guilty about that, but you need to honor your boundaries. Keep yourself. Rest. Don't feel guilty about taking care of yourself. TLC. Don't, make an appointment in your book for yourself. You know, let us take us, we forget to come back into a moment where we used to be calm and rested. We forget to come back to what is real. We think that this going is what is going to get us any place. Sometimes we need to just take a moment. Set an appointment for yourself. Even if it's a last minute appointment, heck, you pay yourself the best. Set it up. And let us take a moment with this question. What if you're not behind? Truly. What if you are not behind? What if the timing of your life is not wrong? What if the delays shaped wisdom you could not have gained any other way? What if the pauses protected you? What if the disappointments redirected you to your path? What if the quiet seasons were not punishment but preparation? Nature in winter in Pennsylvania, okay, everything looks dead. It's taking a break, it's resting. And when spring comes, you start to see all this beauty come out. Why? And it comes out stronger. Usually, even rose bushes, for example, comes out more and more roses every year, bigger and bigger, stronger and stronger, more fragrant, more beauty. What about like the bears? They hibernate. They know their body. They know they need to hibernate. They know that they need that rest. We live in a world that often worships fast results, fast success, fast healing, fast growth, fast visibility. And it's not about that. But the soul often moves in a sacred rhythm, not a public timelines. The soul is not impressed by rushing. The soul is not impressed by performance. The soul cares about truth, integration, alignment, depth, and embodiment. You can have a quiet year and still be becoming someone new. You can be resting and still healing. You can be uncertain and still be guided. You can be tired and still be on your path. Sometimes it looks like returning and returning to your breath, returning to your body, returning to your intuition. There's no performance lights, there's no polished lights, there's no audience. It's just you. That's what you need to remember, to let that light shine, to let that really be who you are meant to be. Returning to your light in practical ways. What does this look like in real life? So, here are some gentle ways you could begin. First, simplify. When your soul is too tired, too many choices can feel overwhelming. Simplify your day where you can, of course. Simplify your expectations, simplify your healing practice. You may not need to do 3 hours of ritual every day to be connected. Sometimes one honest prayer is enough. Sometimes lighting one candle is enough. Sometimes in the mornings, all I say is thanks. You know why? Because a full ritual is not in the cards for me that day. And I should say thanks. That's it. They know that I am grateful for waking up that day, for not feeling like, I'm 200 years old, for being able to get up, for being able to see another sunlight, to be able to see another moonlight or nighttime, to be able to enjoy my family, whatever it is, to be able to be here for someone else and also be there for them in however they need me to be. Sometimes placing your feet on the floor and saying, I am here is enough. Stop negotiating with your body. If your body's asking for rest, listen. If your body says the situation feels wrong, pause. If your body contracts around a yes, consider whether it is truly a yes. The body is part of your guidance system. You know, Sometimes we forget. We don't nourish our body. We don't do it right. I do not. Sometimes we just have to say, I don't have the capacity to do that right now. That's it. Set your limits, your boundaries. You know, what would nourish you at this moment? For me, sometimes it's food. A lot of the times it's quiet or music. Maybe just sitting there in silence, a moment of silence, so I could reconnect with myself, ground myself, and just be present. It may be movement, it may be journaling. Every single day is different. Let joy be your medicine. Laugh, watch movies, shows that are comedy. Don't put your joy in a denial. Joy is life force. Joy helps rebuild fields. Joy reminds the body that life is not only endurance. Small little joys matter more than big ones. A song, a flower, heck, warm milk, uh, tea, coffee, a moment with an animal, a beautiful sky looking up and just noticing the stars. Whatever it is for you, whatever it is for you, give yourself permission. That is one of the most beautiful things to do. Give yourself permission. Now, I want everyone to close their eyes for a moment. Take a deep breath Just allowing that breath to go into beautiful automatic rhythm, natural rhythm. Remember, you can begin after you rest. You could begin after you take that moment that you breathe. You could begin again. Continue with your eyes closed. And say to yourself, I am willing to try again, but this time I will not abandon myself. Say that in a powerful way. You may have to repeat it a few times. I am willing to try again, but this time I will not abandon myself. You may need to light a candle. You may need to sit by yourself. You may need to be who you really are meant to be. This time, maybe your light returns not because you forced it, but because you finally created a safe space, safe place within yourself for it to shine and to shine very bright. And don't be ashamed of it. Don't lower that light. Shine with conviction, with intention, and let it guide others. Now, as we begin to close today's episode, I want to take I want you to take in these beautiful words into your heart. Again, keep your eyes closed. You're not weak because you are tired. You're not weak because you lost. You're not broken because you need rest. You are not behind because your path has not unfolded the way you expected. You're not less spiritual because you are human. You're not allowed yourself to be. Go ahead. Nothing wrong with that. You're allowed to soften. You're allowed to pause. You're allowed to receive. You're allowed to tell the truth. You're allowed to come home to yourself slowly. Your light is not gone, it is just dim. We want it to be shining bright again. Give that permission. It is waiting for your kindness. It is waiting for your presence. It is waiting for your permission to shine in the way that does not require self abandonment. So today, maybe you release some pressure all at once. Let us just breathe and remember those words. Now place your hand on your heart and receive only what aligns with you. May this feel around you soften. May the mind quiet. May the heart be conformed and comforted. May the body feel supported. May the energy that is not yours begin to loosen and release from your field across all layers, levels, timelines, and dimensions. In accordance with divine will, divine protection, and your highest good. You are not forgotten. You are not alone. You are beyond healing. You are not beyond healing. You can heal. You are not outside of grace. Take a deep breath and gently say to yourself, I return to myself. Again, I return to myself. And one more time, I return to myself. And so it is. Now just keep your eyes closed, letting all that sink in. Again, take what resonates and what doesn't, let it flow through. Thank you so much for joining me today on Glenda's Dragon's Den. And if this episode has touched your heart, I invite you to share it with someone who may be feeling tired or overwhelmed or just need a gentle reminder that they're not alone. And if you feel called to explore deeper spiritual support, healing sessions, classes, ceremonies, or even intuitive guidance, you could connect with me through glendasmagicalcreations.com. Please remember to be gentle to yourself after listening to all this. Drink some water, take a deep breath, give a gentle little space to yourself. And most importantly, do not rush your return. Your soul knows its way. Just breathe and let it integrate and let it come back to this beautiful place that we live in. And again, I'm Glenda Dawson, and this has been Glenda's Dragon's Den. Until next Wednesday at 9 p.m. Eastern, may you walk gently, breathe deeply, and remember the sacred light that lives within you. Many blessings. And as always, I love you. Bye.